Hello, I am Valerme Bacaltas Hernandez, and today I will be discussing about the cognitive development and reading. Let us start first by defining these two terms, okay? Let's have the cognitive development. When we say cognitive development, it is the process by which the cognitive or mental capacity of a child is developed, okay? Now let's have the reading. So when we say reading, it's the process by which we recognize and understood the words that are written or printed in a material. Okay, now let's have the objective so that we will be guided throughout my report. Let's have the first one. Relate Yajay Chan concepts to reading development and reading instructions. Let's have the second one, much reading methods materials to students' individual learning styles. Number three, differentiate between the concept of general intelligences and the construct of multiple intelligences. Let's have the fourth one, apply the multiple intelligences theory to reading instructions. And the last one, appreciate and respect the cognitive diversity of people as it relates to the learning process. Now let's have this one. Do you know this man? Well, this man is actually Jean Piaget. He is very famous for his cognitive development. And we have four stages of cognitive development. But let us proceed or let's discuss these stages step deeper later, okay? Let's know more about Jean Piaget. So Jean Piaget is considered the father of child psychology. He was interested in the thought processes of children from birth through adolescence. He developed a cognitive theory consisting of different stages of thought through which children normally progress. Now let's have Jean Piaget's stages of cognitive development. Okay. But before we go to that, let's have this one first. Just what I've said earlier. So when we say cognitive development process, it is the process by which the mental ability or mental capacity of a child is developed. Now let's have the schema. When we say schema, it's the prior knowledge. And when we say assimilation, it means that we use the existing schemas or existing prior knowledge that we have to understand new information or new knowledge. Let's have the accommodation. When we say accommodation, it's modifying our existing schemas or prior knowledge to create new information. Okay? Now let's have equilibrium or equilibration. Okay? The process, it is the process of balancing from the word equal. Okay? A process of balancing existing schemas with new experiences, leading to cognitive growth. Now, let's go to the stages of cognitive development. Let's have the first stage. The first stage is sensory motor. The age range is 0 to 2 years old. So what happens at this stage? Well, coordination of senses with motor responses, sensory curiosity about the world, language used for demands and cataloging. Also, object permanence is developed. Now let's have the pre-operational. The second stage is pre-operational. The age range is 2 to 7 years old. What happens at this stage? The symbolic thinking, use of proper syntax and grammar to express concepts. Imagination and intuition are strong, but complex abstract thoughts are still difficult. Conservation is developed. Now let's have concrete operational. 7 to 11 years old. Concepts attached to concrete situation, time and space, and quantity are understood and can be applied, but not as independent concepts. Now let's have the formal operational, 11 years old and older. Theoretical, hypothetical, and counterfactual thinking, abstract logic and reasoning, strategy and planning become possible during this stage. Concept learned in one context can be applied to another. So after this one, we will dig deeper to each stages. Okay. Now, let's have the first stage. So in this one, during this stage, sensory motor stage, okay, during this stage, the child has a stranger anxiety, and this one, object permanence. So in object permanence, what do we mean by this one? Under this stage is object permanence. So what do we mean with this one? So when we say object permanence, let's say is a child's toy, duck toy, let's say duck toy, fall under the bed. Okay, every time the duck toy will fall, the child will automatically assume that the duck toy is under the bed. Okay, object permanence. So he will assume that the duck or the duck toy is always under the bed every time it falls. Now let's have the second one. Pre-operational stage. So under the pre-operational stage, we have the egocentrism, wherein the child is self-centric during this stage. And let's have the second one, pretentious. From the root word pretend. So the child is pretending during this time. And we have the animism. During this stage, the child is giving life to non-living things. Let's have the irreversibility. This one could be easily understood by giving example. Let's say you ask a child 1 plus 2, okay, and he will say 3. But if you reverse the question, 2 plus 1, he cannot answer it. So, meaning he has not developed yet the reversibility. Okay, the reversibility. He is still under the irreversibility wherein he cannot understand your question yet. Now, let's have the third stage, the concrete operational stage. So during this stage, the child is incapable of logical thinking. So let's have the conservation. What do we mean by this? During this time, the child has not the ability to recognize that the thing, okay, that the sorry, in conservation, the child can recognize that the same quantity, despite of the same container, has the same amount of water. Okay, let's have the reversibility. In reversibility, so again in reversibility, this this stage, okay, this stage, your question about 1 plus 2, even if you reverse it, the child can now answer that it's 3. So in seriation, the child can now arrange things in order. And this one, classification. So a child can now order the object or sort object based on the characterization. Now let's have decentering. So now, during this stage, the ego of a child is now eliminated. He can now accept different point of view. Unlike in unlike during the pre-operational stage, egocentrism, where this one, in egocentrism, the child is not accepting the opinions of others. Now, in concrete operational stage, it's decentering. Okay, the child accepts the opinions of others. Now, let's have the formal operational stage. So during this time, so a child can now formulate hypotheses, reductive and analytical. They are now capable of reductive and analytical reasoning. Okay? Because he has now developed the logical and reasoning skills. Okay, now let's have the learning styles. In learning style, we have visual, auditory, reading and writing, and kinesthetic. We all know that we have diverse of learners, right? And we oh and the fact that we have diverse of learners, we are also accepting the fact that we have that these learners have different learning style. And one of which is visual. And what are these visual learners? These visual learners are those students who learn best by seeing, by watching. Now let's have the auditory. These learners are actually what? These learners prefer to learn by listening, listening and speaking. Now let's have the third one, reading and writing. So these learners like to read and take notes of things during discussion. Now let's have the kinesthetic. So the kinesthetic learners are learners who prefer to move kinesthetic and learn by doing. And most people fall into this category. Okay? And I am one of these people. I am a kinesthetic learner. Okay, now let's have this one. Okay. So we have here the stimuli and the elements. Let's have the environmental factors. We all know that uh, that there are several factors that affect the way a child learn. Okay. Now let's have the sound. The sound. There are students who prefer to study or learn when it's silent. Some learn best while they are listening to music. Now here, light. So some students actually learn best when the their room is dim, in dim lights. While some, including me, prefers to study when it's bright. Okay, when my room is bright. Okay, now let's have the temperature. Some prefers to learn or read or study when it's cool, some when it's warm, some when it's hot. Now let's have this design. So some can learn best regardless of the design of their study table. Okay, so that is the design. Now let's have the emotional. Motivation. So some students learn best when they are motivated. Some learn when they are persistent. Now this one. Some learn best because they have bigger responsibilities. And some learn when it is structured. Okay. So let's say some only studies on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. So their schedule for studying is scheduled or structured. Now let's have sociological. We couldn't deny the fact that some students learn best when they are with their colleagues. Some learn best when they are alone. Some learn by pair. And some learn when their teacher is around. Okay? Depends. That depends on the students. Because again, we have diverse of students. And it is our duty as teacher to cater the needs of the students. So we modify our instruction to fit to the needs of the students, to the learning styles of students. Okay. Now let's have the physical. We have perceptual. We have the intake. Okay. Because intake, this one, during this time, students learn best when they are taking foods or drinking while reviewing or while studying. Some study when it's midnight. Okay, they learn best during midnight, and some learn best early in the morning. Some are learning while they're making movements. Let's have the psychological. So there is two psychological learners. They can be categorized into two. We have analytical learners and global learners. Later, we're going to discuss these two thoroughly. Now, let's have cerebral preference. Depending which cerebral part is uh, again, this one, cerebral preference, depending on what part of our brain is functioning. Now let's have the reflective. Some learn best when they are reflecting. Okay, reflecting. Some when they are impulsive. Now let's have the environmental factors. Okay, some, as Fadab said, some learn best when it's quiet. And some learn best when they are hearing some songs. Now let's have light. Some learn during day or when it's bright. Some learn best when the dims in their rooms or the lights of their rooms is dim. Some learn best when the temperature is cold, warm, or hot. Okay, let's have this one. Sociological. We have alone, sociological elements. Some learn best when they are alone, when they are with their friends, by group, or with their colleagues. Now let's have psychological elements. We have global analytic, hemispheric preference. So hemispheric, that depends on what what part of the brain is functioning. Okay. Now we have impulsive or reflectivity. Now let's have the physical elements. We have the intake, as what I've said. Some students prefer to eat while they are reviewing or studying, time of the day, and then mobility. Now let's know Helen Adams Killer. So Helen Adams Killer is very famous. Why? She is famous for being a pioneering author, political activist, and lecturer who overcame from the challenges of both blindness and deafness to become a major 20th century humanitarian and advocate for individuals with disabilities. Now let's analyze the analytic students and global students. So when we say analytic students, these students concentrate and learn when information is presented in small logical steps, responds to appeals of logic, solve problems systematically, process information sequentially and logically. enjoy puzzles, like likes putting things together by following specific directions, can identify details in a story, okay, and understand and apply phonic rules, are critical and analytic when reading. Let's have the global students. So global students tends to concentrate and learn when information is presented as a whole, responds to emotional appeals, tend to like fantasy and rumor, get wrapped up in a story, and do not concentrate on the facts. Process information subjectivity and in patterns, can easily identify the main ideas in a story, dislike memorizing facts, learn true stories, and use context to figure out unknown words. So, meaning the analytic students are more logical than those global students. Okay, they examine thoroughly text. Analytic students examine thoroughly the text. Okay, research the research the things first before they do something. Okay. Now let's have Howard Gardner. So I know that you are all familiar with Howard Gardner and the multiple intelligence. Okay. So Howard Gardner is most famous for his theory about multiple intelligence. So multiple intelligence is a theory of Gardner that posits that intelligence points that intelligence isn't a single fixed entity, but rather comprises several distinct types, including linguistic, logical, mathematical, spatial, bodily kinesthetic, musical, and interpersonal, intrapersonal, and naturalistic. Okay, so going back, let's have the 9 types of intelligence. Let's have the first one, bodily kinesthetic intelligence. So when we say bodily kinesthetic intelligence, it is the capacity to manipulate objects and use variety of physical things. Bodily kinesthetic, physical things. This intelligence is also involves a sense of timing and perfections of skills through mind, body, mind, and body union. So athletes, dancers, and craftspeople exhibit well-developed bodily kinesthetic intelligence because they use their body to do their things. Okay, now let's have existential intelligence. So when we say existential intelligence, this means that the child has sensitivity and capacity to tackle deep questions about human existence from the word existential, okay, such as meaning of life, why we die, and how did we get here, okay? Now let's have interpersonal. Interpersonal. So interpersonal intelligence is the ability to understand and interact effectively with others or with other people. It involves effective verbal and nonverbal communication, the ability to note distinctions among others, sensitivity to moods and temperaments of others, and the ability to entertain multiple perspectives. So when you are interpersonal intelligent person, meaning you accept the opinions of others. Okay? We teachers are considered interpersonal intelligence because we accept the opinions of other people for us to improve. Now, let's have the intrapersonal. Intra. So when we say intra, within, intrapersonal intelligence is the capacity to understand oneself and one's thoughts and feelings. and to use such knowledge in planning and directioning one's life. Intrapersonal intelligence involves not only appreciation of the self, but also of human condition. It, it is evident in psychologists. So psychologists actually, they are considered what? Intrapersonal intelligence. Okay, because I think they understand their self. Okay, they understand themselves. Also, since they are psychologists, of course, they're going to counsel people. They can be also considered as interpersonal intelligence. Now, let's have, because of course the psychologists are aware of their feelings and are self-motivated, because how are they going to counsel or to learn to accept others opinions or others problem? How are they going to solve the problems of others if they themselves don't understand their perception or their notion or themselves? Now let's have linguistic intelligence. So when we say linguistic, from the word linguistic, it is what? It is about the language. So when we say linguistic ability, the ability to think words and use language to express and appreciate complex meanings. So when you are linguistic intelligent person, you understand the order and the meaning of words and apply this to reflect on our use of language. So linguistic intelligence is the most widely human competence. Okay, and it is evident in poets, novelists, journalists, and effective public speakers. So, so public speakers are considered linguistic intelligent because they persuade the audience to listen to them. And so some students who are linguistic intelligent, they enjoy writing, reading, telling stories, and doing crossword puzzles. Now let's have the logical mathematical intelligence. Logical mathematical, meaning these students are good at math. Okay, they have the ability to calculate, quantify, consider proposition and hypothesis, and carry out complete mathematical operation. Now, let's have the musical intelligence. Musical intelligence is the capacity to discern pitch, rhythm, timbre, and tone. This intelligence enables us to recognize, create, reproduce, and reflect on music. Musical intelligence, meaning they're into music. Okay, and of course we have the last one, naturalist. So again, in musical intelligence, students are considered aware of the sounds. Now, let's have the naturalist intelligence. So naturalist intelligence designates the human ability to discriminate among living things, the plants and animals, as well as sensitivity to other features of the natural world. Natural. For example, we have cloud, rock, and configuration. This is the ability of the students. So naturalist intelligent students has the ability to value the things that we can see, okay, including the environment. The hunters, gardeners, farmers, okay, and they can be considered as botanists too, Okay, now let's have the last one. We have spatial intelligence. In spatial intelligence, so students who are spatial intelligent, they have the capacity to include mental imagery, spatial reasoning, manipulation, graphic and artistic skills, and active imagination as well, including sailors. So these sailors are considered spatial intelligence. Sailors, pilots, sculptors, painters, and architects. Because what? They they have the ability to create a mental picture in their minds. So young adults with this kind of intelligence may be fascinated with mazes, jigsaw, or spends free time drawing or daydreaming. Now let's have now let's have oh so that would be all. Do you have any questions? You can reach me out using my Facebook if you have any question. That is it for today. Bye. Have a great day.